Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. This is a part 2 of use square roots to solve quadratic functions. So we are going to go, we've got 2 examples left here. So first one is example 4. Given the equation h of t equals ho minus 1/2 gt squared, where h is the height in feet, ho is the initial height, g is gravity at 32 feet per second, and t is time in seconds. If Simone drops a wooden rat off a 30-foot cliff onto a fluffy pillow, how long until the rat lands softly and safely on the fluffy pillow? No wooden rats were harmed in this problem. So how long is it going to take for this rat from when it's dropped to land on the fluffy pillow? Okay, so let's first set up our equation here. So we've got h of t equals, ho is the initial height. So it's starting originally at 30 feet up. So we're going to do 30 minus 1/2. G is gravity, and that is 32 feet per second squared. So we're just going to do 32. I'm going to take off the, oh yeah, I guess we need that. 32. And then it's going to be times time squared, right? And what do we want the height to be at the end? We want the height to be 0. So instead of putting h of t, we know that we want the height to equal 0. So now we're just going to solve this thing here for t, and then away we go. So subtract 30 from both sides. Negative 30 equals negative 1/2 of 32 times t squared. Half of 32 is 16, so that's going to have a negative on it as well, so negative 16t squared. So we divide both sides by negative 16, and that will tell us that time squared is going to equal negative 30 over negative 16. So 30 divided by 16 is 1.875. And now that's plus or minus officially, right? But negative time doesn't really make sense, so we don't do the plus and the minus. We just do plain old 1.875. So we get 1.875 equals t squared. So we square root both sides to figure out what t has to equal. So we're going to just do second square root, and then instead of having to type in 1.875, do second answer, which is the little negative sign down there, and that gives us 1.369. So let's call it 1.37 seconds. So time is about 1.37 seconds. Okay, now quick question for you. Here's the graph. Here's our rat, and then here's its height compared to time. So here, right there, that's 1.37 seconds, right? That's about how long it takes. Now, if you'll notice, it also intersects right over here at negative 1.37 seconds. But that obviously doesn't make any sense because we can't have negative time. So why isn't the negative solution used in this graph? Because we don't have negative time, and it's not going to fall. Yeah, that's for a whole different universe. So, okay, let's take a look at one more example here, and we'll be all done. But let's do a quick little comedy break just before we do that.
Go bring it back. Good girl.
Okay. Example 5. A goat is stuck in a tree. Sheila has a 20-foot ladder that she has to secure 9 feet from the base of the tree. If the goat is 18 feet up in the tree, will Sheila be able to reach it? So, what we want to do, we have here's our tree with the goat in the top, and then now Sheila's got a ladder, and we know it's got to be 9 feet from the base of the tree, and we got to see how far up that ladder is going to reach, right? It should be at a 90-degree angle as long as the tree's growing up straight. And we know that this, let's see, the goat is 18 feet up. That guy right there is 18 feet tall. It's really from here to here is 18 feet. And let's see, she's got a 20-foot tall ladder. Is Sheila going to be able to reach that goat? Okay. So, really, we just want to use this triangle here. We've got a squared, b squared, and c squared, right? So here's our right angle. This is 9. Ugh, I can't even make 9. Looks like an A. And that's 20. And we got to figure out what this is going to be, right? So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So in this case, the two bases are 9 and question mark. And then the c, always across from the right angle, the hypotenuse is always the c squared. So let's do 9 squared. Looks like a 9 there as well. Let's make that look like an A. Sorry. Plus, what's the number 9? 9 squared plus, we'll call this x squared equals 20 squared. So let's call this, instead of question mark, we'll call that x. Okay. And then let's see what we get. So 9 squared, 81 plus x squared. 20 squared is 400, so we subtract 81 from both sides. X squared equals 400 minus 81 is what? 319. So then we got to square root both sides, and we get x equals plus or minus whatever the square root of 19 is. 319 is, right? Now, the negative isn't going to do us any good because we're not going to have a negative height, so we don't actually have to put the negative in there. So let's leave that, and then we will do the square root of 319. And oddly enough, our calculator here is going to leave it as a square root of 319. What you want to do is hit this little double arrow button up here, and it'll turn into a decimal 17.86. So x is going to equal 17.86 feet tall up in the tree. So if the goat's at 18 and the ladder goes up here to 17, of course you don't want to stand on the top rung of a ladder, so that's a whole different issue. So it looks like it doesn't reach up to the exact bottom of where the goat is at, but it looks like she'll be able to reach up and get it. But so it's kind of an ambiguous type question. So as long as you defend your answer on that, I'd take either that it does not reach up to the goat, but you could also still reach up and get the goat. Okay. All right. So that's all we have for the second half here of the square roots to solve quadratic functions. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask in class. Thanks.